Folks. Welcome back. My name is Rudy. You're watching Alpha Investments. Today we have the long-awaited conversation on serialized cards. How can we look back now? Remember, serialized cards started off secret lair. They slipped them in, shocked the market. Here we go. And then we had the Big Brothers War, March of the Stepmom Machine into the multiverse. Then, of course, all kinds of what we have, the Universes Beyond, Doctor Who, and Lord of the Rings serialized cards, all the way into the most recent. Got Ravnica Remastered, and of course Karlov Manor, Fallout. So we're starting to get a good feel for serialized cards and what they mean. So far, let's take a look. So, starting with Brothers War, serialized cards continue to be very, how do I say this? No one gives a shit. It seems to be very, hold on, I want to say this very gently. I don't want to make people angry at me, and then I'll get thumbs downs. People seem to be, again, they don't seem to give a shit. So the serialized cards in like Brothers War, looking back, are very, very cheap. Nobody really wants them. There's not a lot of demand. There's not a lot of hype. People moved on to the next thing. Then you have like even like March of the Machine, another standard set. You have these serialized Multiverse Legends cards. Some are a little bit more expensive, but overall people don't seem to really care that much, you know? And then we go to some other stuff. We started learning things. Even the Doctor Who serialized cards, not as expensive as I thought. I mean, what, averaging $200 to $500 a piece? Nothing crazy. Now again, this doesn't include the special if you get number 1 out of 500, number 69 out of 500, 420 out of 500, lucky number 7. There's going to be premiums to specific numbers, which is a whole different conversation we'll get to in a minute. But what's interesting is this has really reminded me to remind all of you that utility still rules Magic the Gathering. No matter what is happening here, Magic the Gathering in modern cards are the law of the land is utility. Unlike Pokemon, unlike other flashy card games and different chase cards or certain Magic the Gathering serialized cards are driven by utility. If you look at a lot of the artifacts from Brothers War, they're cheap, nobody cares, nobody plays with them. It fizzled out. Okay. You look at the Shocklands from Ravnica Remastered. Remember the set that everybody said don't order? It's Ravnica, there's nothing good to offer, it's all going to collapse. And now the collector boxes are all-time high, above 300. That's not the point. But if you look at the actual Shocklands, you know, the big boys, the Birds of Paradise, the Cyclonic Rift, and of course, the Shockies. The prices of those serialized cards are $400, $500, $1,000. And we're not even talking lucky number 1, number 7, or number 420, or, I mean, they're pretty strong numbers. And with actual pretty stable, solid sell-through rates. So again, people want to pimp out that commander deck, want to have the best version, want to have bragging rights. They got a serialized Shockland. They're running the serialized Birds of Old Paradise, the old BOPs over there. It's interesting to see how utility and playability flows through in Magic, even with serialized cards. That's something that you can laugh at Rudy all you want. But, you know, I would not have saw that coming. I thought overall there would be a lot more people wanting to collect a full series of serialized cards, and that really didn't turn out to be the thing. That's not really what's happening. People, once again, are being driven by the utility of the playable cards they want when it comes to Magic. Okay? Now, again, granted, the culture around Magic versus Pokemon is also very different. Now, other thing I thought was interesting, including Rudy's got a shell for myself, including Premier Card Grading PCG, we are seeing more PCG cards with Magic coming in to be slabbed of serialized cards. That has been an interesting thing in the last 90 days. The serialized card overall attitude seems to still be in the caution, skeptical, everyone's trying to figure it out, are they going to hold up? We're not seeing a lot of volatility in serialized card prices. They don't seem to be skyrocketing. No buyouts. No one's dumping thousands and tens of thousands. But we're not seeing these things go down to $10, $20 for a serialized card. They're very calm, which again has been very fascinating to see. Then we jump over to things like Lord of the Rings, when you see some really crazy shit. Lord of the Rings, holiday special, You guys already know that, rejected set nobody wants. They're recycling. They're selling us the same box twice to make more money. Same old, all the Timmies. They're just very angry about the success of it. Those things, the serialized Lord of the Ring poster cards, outrageously expensive, holding and averaging $1,000 a card, with most way higher. And God help you if you pull one ring that's serialized. And these poster cards are really, really in demand. Even the summer regular Lord of the Rings, the regular serialized rings vary thousands, multi-thousands per serialized ring, depending which series you have on there. And those are holding up really well. So we are seeing some interesting differences between utility and the playability, and some of these are just really demanded for, whether it's Lord of the Ring bros or it's just simply people really like the power level of those particular cards or whatever it may be. Now, moving forward, we expect a lot more serialized cards to keep going. We don't think this is going to come to an end. I don't think that nobody does. Serialization of Magic cards, especially with the brand new Modern Horizons 3, the serialized cards with the hidden Eldrazi, they're going to be expensive because, again, Eldrazi and cards like that are very symbolic modern staples and big old monster. Eldrazi's always going to be a popular thing. Now, where they stabilize? Do they stabilize at a couple $100 a card in the future, or do they hold 1,000 plus like Lord of the Rings? That's where the market's going to have to find that equilibrium. But the success of serialized cards is here to stay. Okay? The only fact we know is moving forward, we have an extremely high probability there's going to be a lot of serialized cards in the future. So in 5 years from now, when we have thousands and thousands of more serialized cards, what does that mean to the serialized cards today? Are they not as special? Are they diluted? Do we get so many serialized Magic cards that nobody cares anymore? These are all things that we don't have the answer to. It's just way too early to know. My opinion, I feel like the continued printing of new serialized cards, I don't think it's really going to impact some of these things. Okay, but at the same time, like some of the big questions you got to ask yourself, like Ravnica Remastered, they did serialized Shocklands. Modern Horizons 3, did they do serialized fetch lands? I thought it was just the Eldrazi, right? So they purposely went out of their way to not serialize to not serialize fetch lands? Is that they could sandbag for the future? Like, using Shocklands as an example, now that we have the whole series of serialized Shocklands from Ravnica Remastered, what do they do in a couple years from now when they reprint Shocklands again? In 5 years from now, you can't reprint Shocklands without serialization. Do they have a second series of Shocklands serialized again? That seems to be, I guess, the idea. And that's when it gets interesting. Because now, you're going to battle against the first version of serialized cards for, I don't know, breeding pool or something, or some sort of, if there's a second breeding pool serialized card, do people just choose the art they want? Does it devalue the original? Does it make the original printing of serialized? I see, that's where it gets real murky. And those are the things that make me nervous. Now, when it comes to things like Lord of the Rings serialized cards and serialized poster cards, we know they aren't going to mess with that. Because, well, Wizards would have to pay a huge fee to get the rights for Lord of the Rings to make future products for Lord of the Rings. And they're not going to pay that again just to do that. I don't see them revisiting that at all. Now, maybe that's why serialized cards from Lord of the Rings and Doctor Who hold up better than maybe Brothers War or March of the Stepmom Multiverse. Maybe those are some interesting underlying variables in addition to the utility and the playability. We don't know. So, we know serialized cards are here to stay. We know a lot more of them are coming. We know there's a tremendous uptick across the board of people grading serialized cards. And I have to admit, there's actually been a solid uptick of people grading modern Magic cards, not just vintage. That's another video for another conversation we're going to have in the future. So even with PCG, we've had a lot, like in the last 6 years, ever since we did the player slabs, the amount of people sending in playable commander cards and getting their commander slabbed in the custom smaller slab for actually the players for their commander has been an interesting kind of turn of events I didn't think was really going to be a popular thing. not just Flesh and Blood and Pokemon and stuff, but that's been really fascinating. So that's my speech on serialization. Okay, we still, again, serialization went mainstream in Magic in 2022. Well, end of 2022. So we are not even 2 full years of serialized cards. And I always tell you all, we need a solid 5 years of data, like collector boxes, to really start to get the feel and vibe for things. Now, what I do think is going to happen is as we move forward and we get more and more serialized cards, I actually think they're going to tweak it. They're going to make them more rare. And by the way, I promise you all, we will see more serialized cards that are 1 of 1s. We will see more serialized cards that are 1 out of 10. Honestly, I'll even go a step further. I wouldn't be surprised if we have a meme or joke or an unset in the future that has serialized cards out of 69 or something funny. I wouldn't be surprised if these future serialized cards start having signatures on them of the artist, or start having a special artwork just for serialized. Right now, Wizards and they've been very kind of basic with serialization, except the 1 of 1 ring. I predict moving forward, not only are they going to hit the serialization, but they're going to double down and even go more hardcore with crazier variants, lower numbers, different sub-series, and because the R&D space in the direction of serialization is very large, and there's a lot of opportunity for them to monetize that. And if there's anything I've learned about Hasbro, Wizards of the Coast, and our Cynthia, our ex-girlfriend Cynthia, is they love monetization, and they're going to find a way to double down on it. And I think the way they're going to do that is like I'm telling you all, when it comes to this Final Fantasy stuff and Marvel stuff coming, I'm telling you all, I know we did the Fallout, we've done Doctor Who, we're getting ready to have Assassin's Creed, obviously Lord of the Rings, and of course the Modern Horizons 3 is, not really Universe and Beyond, but still serialization with Eldrazi. I'm telling you all, there will be off the chart excitement and hype when we get Final Fantasy Magic cards that have fucking serialization of like Cloud or Eris or Tifa from Final Fantasy VII or Titus. We are going to have insane stuff if there are like serialized weapon cards of the Final Fantasy characters. Okay? And you think Marvel with like a different shield or a sword or the glove and the serialized Marvel, I'm telling you all right now, the shit is going to be expensive and it's going to be off the chart successful. And these are the things that I've been telling you guys when we talk about Hasbro stock, Hasbro company, the direction, Magic the Gathering, how they're tightening print runs. They are polishing up what's going on. And that's why today's conversation on serialized cards is boring. But for those of you who actually want to learn and get a better understanding of this market, these boring videos like today are important to understand where we came from, where we're going when it comes to these type of monetized new items being slotted inside Magic products. So conclusion, everybody, I think most serialized cards are going to stay about where they are. There's been no signs of buyouts. There's no signs of major crashes. They've been very calm and steady, and they've been adding a lot of expected value to sealed products. I think in the future, I think we are going to have more intense serialized cards with 1 of 1s and exotic things coming, which will add even more excitement to new Magic into the future. I do not think, again, all this modern day Magic stuff is worthless, and Rudy continues to build large positions for himself, in addition to patrons and you all watching that want to get cheap stuff from me. I do think the future of this stuff is going to remain very bullish and very exciting. So, hope that helps. Have a great day.